the 1857 revolt was centred on Delhi. The main aim of the mutineers was to put Bahadur Shah Zafar and the Mughal dynasty back in charge of India and to get rid of the alien intruders, the British. Until 1857, Delhi was a Mughal city. It was the Mughal capital. After 1857, all that changed. There was an active attempt to wipe out the Mughals from the memory. And you had a conscious Anglicization of a great deal of the city. And so what you get is a conscious commemoration of British sites of valour by the British. The British main defensive position was up on the ridge, and in the course of September 1857 they advanced through the gutted ruins of their own bungalows in the civil lines, through Kotsiabad, till on the morning of September the 11th they made the final assault on Kashmiri Gate. And Kashmir Gate was the place where the greatest resistance took place. What happened was there was an eclipse, and many of the more superstitious Hindu sepoys took this as a sign it was all over, the end of a dynasty, and deserted their posts. And the British walked in after that as far as the Jama Masjid, where the next point of defence was. The Flagstaff Tower was the point where the Memsahibs gathered on the day of the outbreak, May the 11th, 1857. It's a place of refuge. It's where and from which they flee up the road to Karnal when things get when Delhi falls to the mutineers, to the rebels. And it's the main centre against which the rebel forces attack, and then finally it's the place where the flag is raised on September the 11th when when the East India Company takes the city. This was one of the main places that the rebels wished to take, because it would have given them the ammunition and the artillery and the armaments they needed to evict the British from India, which they very nearly did. So what happens in the magazine was a crucial moment in the uprising. Had the uprising fallen into the hands of the rebels, it's quite possible that history could have been quite different. This was the place where the British commemorated their own valour and put up these slightly, to modernise, distasteful sort of like cricket statistics, native and British artillerymen, infantry, cavalry, wounded, killed. And I think greatly to the credit of independent India, rather than just destroying this memorial as many other countries might have done, there's just a very elegant little plaque saying that the men described in these inscriptions as rebels were great freedom fighters fighting for the freedom of India. So John Nicholson is one of these characters that the Victorians worshipped. To us, he appears like a complete imperial psychopath. He's a deeply unattractive, mad, crazy figure who performed acts of terrible violence against not only the rebels, but sometimes Indians on his own side. He was killed during the taking of Delhi on the 11th of September and was laid to rest in a new cemetery, which had previously been a Mughal garden, to the north of Kashmiri Gate. And again, during the Victorian period, his grave became a major place of pilgrimage, and today is largely forgotten except by a few historians.